back to the Everyday Father. I'm your host, Charles Schultz, and I'm excited to have you here today. I hope your week's been as good as mine. I I finally got countertops in my kitchen. It's coming together. We're starting to look like a functional space that I can start to make some things happen. Unfortunately, there's no appliances in there yet other than the fridge, but we're getting there. We're heading in the right direction. So I'm hoping here in the next few weeks I'm going to be able to actually start making some food and get back to that nutrition side of things that I so desperately miss, because it's not been easy figuring out food and situations and doing all that, but such is life. But I can't complain. The last few days have been beautiful. It's been sunny. We've been getting good weather. I've been getting countertops. I'm getting workouts. I'm feeling energized, and yeah, no, I'm ready to get after it today. So one of the things I talked about last week was having systems and routines in place, and I think that having those things is extremely important. But one of the things I want to make sure that when you start to build your systems, you start to build your routines, don't become hostage to them. Don't make them so rigid that when something interrupts those routines, something interrupts those systems, it messes everything else up downstream. For me, I use blocks. I use blocks, and I have interchangeable things that I can plug and chug and slide it in there. And the reason for this is because right now, with it being wintertime, I don't like to work out in the morning in a cold, dark garage. Yes, I've got nice lights and I can turn those on and whatever else, but I prefer to work out when there's a chance that I might find some sunshine. So like the last few days, I actually went outside and I did my jump rope outside, and then I walked and I did some running stuff, and I got fresh air, and in the if I would have done it in the morning, I'd have missed all that. Now, when summer comes around, that'll change. But this is what I'm trying to explain here, is that if you're stuck in systems that are rigid and they don't give you room to kind of play around with things, when stuff happens in your life, and as a busy father of three, things happen. Like, for example, yesterday my son decided to puke on the bus, so my whole schedule, my whole life shifted because I had to go get him and take care of that. And if you're too rigid, too fixed, that would mess up everything else. Okay, so keep in mind when you're creating these blocks, have some flexibility, have some room, have some space to modify, adjust, and overcome the obstacles that happen. So what I want to do today is just kind of run you through what my normal routine looks like right now. Okay, and then I'll do another one in the summer so you can kind of see how it's adjusted, how it's modified, and what that looks like. But right now, I wake up every morning between 5 and 5:30. Because it's the winter months, it's typically closer to that 5:30 time. As we move more into the summer, I will probably move that up just a little bit. But so 5:30, I'm waking up. I carry my 197-year-old dog downstairs because she can't go up and down the stairs anymore, and that's part of my morning routine now. So she gets carried up and then carried down. I carry her out. We put her outside, and then once she's going to the bathroom, I'm filling up my water bottle. I'm taking care of some in the morning, kind of get the day going, stuff going on, and get her back in. And then I'm here. I'm in front of the computer for the next hour and 15 minutes, and I'm trying to get some focused, productive, high quality work in. This is my time with minimal distractions, minimal interruptions. I can focus. I can usually stay pretty on task with what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I'm busting out as much as I can in this window, whether it's writing emails or doing one of these recordings. And this is a good time for that. Around 6:45, 7 o'clock, depending on what time my youngest gets up and my wife comes downstairs, I will take a break from here. I'll walk out. I'll go say hi to her. And from there, I'll start getting some stuff ready. So I'll start making my morning coffee and getting it brewing, and then start taking my supplements. And let me run you through some of the supplements I'm taking right now. I know this is mostly about routines, but I kind of want to run through what I'm doing right now for me on the supplement side. Right now I've got a Sea Redox. I'm taking that morning and night. And then as you can see here, there's my lineup of supplements. And I've got creatine, vitamin D, which is, I think, a lifesaver in Ohio, fish oil, and a multivitamin. The multivitamin is just one I got real cheap recently. I picked it up from the store, and it's just whatever. I typically have pills. This is just the gummies, and it's working. It's doing its job. After I take my morning supplements, before we move on, I do have another evening supplement and a greens supplement that I use regularly. I take a magnesium supplement before bed, and then I'll do some greens periodically from there. But after I do that, it's close to 7:30. I go and get my son awake because my wife's leaving to go to work, and I bring him down, and he usually wants carried down the stairs too, so that's another fun one. I get him set up, get him breakfast, get him some things, get him on the couch, get him relaxing, and then I go pour my coffee. Get my first cup of coffee. Well, I've got 45 minutes before the bus comes, and I got to get him out the door. And I'm usually trying to take that 45 minutes to do some social media work. So I'm writing posts, I'm answering, I'm replying, I'm sending some emails, I'm connecting and doing that sort of thing. And that's how my morning is set up. He's on the bus, and then I'm with my daughters, and then that's the beginning part of my day. Now, once he's gone, that time I'm spending with my daughters is usually playing, running around, reading, doing different things like that, dancing and singing and all kinds of fun stuff. My youngest daughter goes down for a nap around 12:30. I usually use that window from 12:30 to 3:30 for workouts, some more emails and writing, and just kind of relaxing for a minute and give myself a break from the chaos, because that's usually a time too that my older two start to just kind of calm down from being busy throughout the morning, and it works real well in that window. From there, everyone's up again, and right now I'm in coaching season, so this is again why plugging and playing is important, because at 4:00 I head off to practice, and I'll be back again around 6:30, and that's dinner and hanging out with the kids and the wife before bed, and bed by 10:00. A lot of this, again, changes on the season, changes on the time of year, and I'm not stuck if things need to be changed or modified. So I suggest that you do something similar. You find ways to incorporate blocks that you can pull from here, and you can pull from there, and then we can shift that over here, depending on how life hits you and what you need to work on. So we'll talk more about routines as we continue to work through this show and some of the things that we're doing. Today, I want to dive into a training block week for you. So I'm going to walk you through what my normal structure is currently on the training side of things, so you can kind of see how I structure my workouts, how I block things off, and what I'm trying to do on a regular basis to get my work in on the exercise side of things. But we'll talk about that after this commercial break.
1 week after launching our exclusive sneak peek, NGBN TV was live for 3 days of continuous coverage from Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas.
NGBN TV is live from Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58.
The one-of-a-kind streaming TV network for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s was the conversation for the big game about men's mental health. And the world of athletes, celebrities, and influencers were on notice. But we're just getting started with new partnerships announced, like the Team Nike 3-on-3 Championship, and new platforms available to download the NGBN TV app. So, what are you waiting for? Download the app today from your favorite streaming device, or check us out at ngbn.tv. This is NGBN TV.
Hey NGBN, it's Brian Jodas with Pick Up the Six Productions. Join us here at Pick Up the Six as we introduce you to the men and women among us who go above and beyond through service, purpose, and impact. Whether it's travel in the United States or right here from our studios, we can't wait to pick up the six with you.
Hello, welcome to Veritas. I'm your host, Adam Colazetti, and I'm here to guide you on a meditative adventure like no other. Join me and lose yourself in your imagination as we travel the outer reaches of the cosmos, quest for powerful talismans, and explore the inner realm of your subconscious. What might you find along the way? But be warned, fair traveler, this path is not for the faint of heart. On this path, of one thing I am certain, dragons be here. Are you ready?
Hello and welcome back to the Everyday Father. I wanted to take a little bit of time now to dive into my training splits. I think a lot of times when we start to look at how we're going to structure our workouts, how we're going to do our specific programming, it helps to hear how other people are doing what they're doing. And for me, I run on a 5-day split. And interestingly enough, I don't necessarily hold myself to doing it in a week span. So there are weeks where I listen to my body and I need an extra break in there. So I'll take 3 days off during the week, which means the next week I'll start at the back end of this 5-day split. But it is a 5-day rotation of programming right now that I'm working off of. When I do feel good, I fit it in a week. When I don't feel great, I will, like I said, I'll roll it into the next week and then it'll just start and kind of repurpose itself. I like to start my programming with posterior work. One of the reasons why I like to start with the posterior is because we are very front dominant. All right, we're anteriorly dominant. Everything we do, we drive cars, we play games, everything's pulling us forward. We push doors open, everything's in front of us. Posturally, that's hard on us. We start to get this rolled shoulder forward, we start to slouch and sink, and so I want to work stuff pulling myself upright. So when you look at my split, I have 2 back, one chest workout. With that in mind, I start the week with heavy back. Okay, I love deadlifts. It's one of my favorite movements. Deadlifts are always going to be a staple, whether it's a traditional deadlift, an RDL, or a hex deadlift, which I don't own a hex bar yet, but that's on the docket just because posturally it puts me in a safer place than the hip hinge that's required to do a traditional deadlift. So I like the combination of pulling heavy things. So that's day one. I'll do that, and then I'll incorporate from there other posterior movements, pull-ups, rows, renegades, different things where I'm pulling towards myself. I will also hit some posterior shoulders, so some rear flies or some face pulls in depending on the week. I kind of slide those around. And then day 2, I work into my pressing. So I do a heavy chest day, and that's my bench press day, my landmine press, flies, single arm, push-ups, anything that is pushing. I'll include dips and some triceps on that day as well. From there, I typically will either take a day off or work into a lighter posterior power day. Usually I give myself a day and then I'll do the posterior power at a little bit heavier clip. So that's my hang cleans, my swings. I still work in some different types of pull-up variations, some body rows, and then the traditional cable stuff that I'll throw in there. So I'll hit the back hard twice. And that's something I try to consistently do just so that I'm feeling myself get pulled upright and back. From that, the next day is my lower body day. It's my leg day. I do some squats, front squat, back squat, split squat, depending on the week. And then I'll throw in some accessory stuff with lunges, lateral lunges, some rotational movements that are lighter, maybe even body weight. I like doing some knees over toes and some of my Nordic hyper stuff with hamstring strengthening on those days with the leg stuff. Now I will throw some of that Nordic work with the reverse hypers and the Nordic hamstring curls. I will throw some of that into a posterior day from time to time if I feel like I'm not getting enough hamstring, glute, lower back from my leg day. So that kind of gives me room to shuffle. Okay. So it's not strict. It doesn't have to hold to a specific thing. The last day of my split is my overhead pressing day. and that's I'm going to do some shoulder press, whether it's a strict bar or dumbbells. I like dumbbells because I can move more naturally through the shoulder. It gives me room to kind of feel where my body needs to be to drive upward. I will mix in some straight bar. I've been really liking this reverse grip press lately. It's felt really good on the front, the anterior shoulder. But I do think overhead pressing power is important and overhead pressing strength is important. So I try to make sure that that's a day that I specifically focus on a lot of my shoulder development. With my shoulder development, I will also work in some bis and tris because typically my shoulders wear out before it's a good enough workout that I feel like I've done enough. So I'll throw in some bis and tris on that day as well. So that's my split. It's pretty simple. I don't change it up too often. I will make it harder or easier by changing load and frequency, and then the volume, the sets and reps. Those are the things that I manipulate. I don't really fluctuate a lot on the exercises, especially the staple exercises. I will play more around with the supporting exercises, the accessory work. So that I'll do, a dumbbell row one time, a cable row the next time, and then some type of bent row. So I'm getting variations of rowing, but it's always going to be similar movements, similar patterns, similar strengthening process, unless I start to feel or recognize an imbalance or a weakness, and then I will address that. So when you build your splits, when you build your programming out, it doesn't have to be super complex. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. The best thing for you is do something that you can repeatedly do. We get stronger through specific adaptations to impose demands. The SAID principle, for those of you who are in this field, we respond to the demands that are imposed upon our body. So the more you do something, the better you get at it. So if you want to get a better squat, you better be squatting. If you want to get a better bench, you better be benching. If you want to get more vertical jump, you better be jumping. It all translates. So build your programming out based on the things that you want to improve and the things that you want to get better at. And from there, we can kind of manipulate everything else. So if you do need some help with your programming, I'd be more than happy to work with you. I do some online training and I've had some help. I've helped some people in the past. I like being in person and being able to work through things with you, but this is a new age where we can work in a lot of different ways. So feel free to reach out to me. You can hit me up at charles@theedgeofgreatnessproject.com, and we will get to this week's movement of the week. And it's actually something tricky and new. It's actually going to be the finisher of the week. I guess we can kind of rename it this time because it's a complex that I'm going to show you that I like to finish my leg days with. So we'll get to that right after this commercial break.
You're watching the exclusive sneak peek of NGBN TV. Like never before, streaming content for men is now available, with more to come. Join us on this journey as we introduce you to content creators and shows that are here to inspire, educate, entertain, celebrate, and support men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. We can't do this without you, so please enjoy this sneak peek, but also share it with your friends and family, and help us connect with companies, organizations, brands, or nonprofits who align with our mission to save men's lives. This is the NGBN TV Sneak Peek.
Hello and welcome back to another movement of the week, or as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a circuit of the week, so to say. One of the things I really like to do at the end of a workout is include a thing I call a finisher. And it can be an isometric hold, it can be a small little circuit, it can be something that gets my heart rate going. A lot of times I'll use, if I have access to a rower or some sprints, and incorporate an increase in cardio with some strength piece to finish it out. I will also sometimes do a max effort, like pull-ups, push-ups, burnout type of set. In this instance, what we're going to do is a thing called leg cranks. And I picked this circuit up a while back. It's probably been close to a decade now that I was first exposed to this, and I still use it today because it's fast, it's efficient,
And no matter how many times you do it, it still challenges you. And I think that's the testament of a good finisher, is that it doesn't necessarily get easier. You learn how to endure it, but it still challenges you every time you do it. So this particular finisher, it's great for a leg day. It's great for if you don't have a whole lot of time or if you're traveling. And it takes all of 90 seconds. Maybe, first couple times you do it, probably closer to 3-4 minutes. But either way, it's a quick hitter. It's hard. It's fast. You're in, you're out, you're done, and it's great. So what it is, for those of you who are still tuned in and ready to go, it's squats, lunges, split jumps, squat jumps. So we will do 24 squats all in a row, 24 reverse lunges, knee close to the ground, touch the ground as possible, 24 split jumps, and then finally 12 squat jumps. The idea behind this circuit is, though, here's the catch. Once you start, you can't stop. It's non-stop. Roll through one, right into the other. Don't slow down. Don't hesitate. Don't think. Just fight through the burn, fight through the suck. And around the halfway point of the lunges, for those of you who have never done this, you're going to start to feel it. The jumps, heads up, they are not easy. And I have seen people, that's where it gets really tricky. So if you are a beginner, maybe not this one. If you're somebody who has exercise and is looking for something that's challenging, this is a great one to throw in there. If you're wanting to try it and you're still kind of unsure of where your level of fitness is, allow yourself some breaks. The whole idea behind this is eventually get to the point where you don't have any breaks and you just kind of fire through it. But as with all exercise and all fitness, tailor it to the level that you're at. You don't have to do the same thing as everybody else. You can modify and adapt to where your current fitness level is. Ultimately, the goal of this whole thing is to get to a point where you can fire through this as fast as you can with great form, without breaks, jumping high, working hard, working strong, maybe even add in a little bit of a resistance on the first two parts before you go to the jumps. And, over time you can maybe do it with a ruck. That's way down the road. Don't feel like you have to get there tomorrow. But as you continue to add stuff to the programming and you make things harder, fitness is all about an excessive overload over time. You need to make it consistently harder on yourself. Otherwise, you stop progressing, you stop growing, you stop changing. And this finisher is a great way to start. Again, 24 squats, 24 reverse lunges, 24 split jumps, 12 squat jumps. Do that, fire through it. If you feel good after, call me, because nobody feels good after, and I need to know who you are, because that's impressive. And before you go, and before we get back to the regular scheduled programming, check out my new NGBN gear. You can get yours at ngbn.tv. Use promo code EDGE10. Save yourself 10%. Help support the show. Help support the network. I'm pretty happy about it. I think this is a good fit, good look, and I'm excited to throw it into some of my workouts. So we'll see you guys after this short commercial break.
Hello, we are the MD and Chef team. I'm nutritional chef Michael, joined by my beautiful wife, Dr. Isabel, medical doctor and suicide survivor.
Yes, I was dropped into the world of mental illness back in 2013, and by the grace of God, I survived suicide. But here's what I learned. We don't have a mental illness issue. That's the downstream event. We're focusing downstream. We should be focusing upstream on our brain health and all the things that we can be doing to support our brain health. Because you see, it's like mopping up the floor when the sink is overflowing instead of turning off the faucet. So come and join us on the MD and Chef Team show.
Come join us.
Hey, I'm Micah McCreary.
And I'm Rich Fry, and welcome to Truex Outdoors,
the ultimate outdoor show.
So come tag along with us as we experience thrilling adventures in hunting and fishing.
From the mountains to the rivers, we'll bring you the most action-packed outdoor experiences.
Watch us now on NGBN TV.
Truex Outdoors.
Hello and welcome back to the Everyday Father. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode and got to take a look at the kind of behind the scenes of the routines, the habits, the things that I try to implement, as well as the training blocks. I think two of those things together, the combination is really just the main pillars of how I approach my life. I try to create blocks, like I mentioned, where I can plug things in to open windows that I want to accomplish. I'm not rigid on my routines. This allows for some flexibility. And again, like I mentioned, as a father, if you're watching and you're a parent, you understand that you don't always get to stick to the routines that you have set. You might want to be a 5 a.m. get up and work out type of guy, but maybe your kid wakes up at 5:30 screaming and crying, and you need to be there for that. There are compromises that we're going to have to make. But when we have good abilities to be flexible within our systems, we have blocks that we can kind of, okay, this got messed up, we're going to put it over here. It frees us up to do a lot more things. The other piece is the training blocks. Figure out why you're exercising. What do you want to accomplish? And then build from that. It does you no good to do a powerlifting program if you want to run a marathon. It does you no good to do a bodybuilding program if you want to be a calisthenic, functional fitness, movement-based person. They are different. They require different things. They are putting you in different situations, and they're going to build your body differently. So choose how you want to get, or what you want to become, where you want to go, and then insert the other pieces that fit that. Finally, about all of this is the reason why that flexibility is important is, I'll tell you a really quick story. The other day I was sitting, it was a long day. I didn't really want to do my workout because the day had kind of gotten away from me and I had missed a few of my blocks. But if you include your children, if you include people in your life in what you're trying to accomplish, they start to hold you accountable. So I'm sitting there and I was telling my daughter, I'm like, I'm not going to work out today. And she screams at me. She goes, no, you promised. You told me that I could swing. And so I have made fitness fun for her, because when I work out and I work hard, she gets to go and do things with me. She's holding me accountable to go do my workout. So yeah, the other day I didn't want to go work out. I didn't want to be outside. I didn't feel up to it. It was a day that motivation was lacking. And thankfully, my daughter held me accountable to the standards that I am setting for myself, for the expectations that I'm trying to accomplish. And I got a good workout in, and she got to swing, and then we got to play, and it was a well-deserved moment together. But if you try to do it alone, if you try to do it on the side, if you don't include people, it becomes really, really challenging. So find people to insert into your life that are going to make this possible for you, that you can continuously show up for. Ultimately, it's going to be a balancing act. It's going to be a game of plug and chug, and you're going to have moments where you're trying to build your puzzle, and it's not going to look like a picture. So be patient with yourself. Keep working on it. Put it together over time. If you need any help, you can find me at charles@theedgeofgreatnessproject.com. But remember, you just got to keep showing up. You just got to keep putting in the work. Try every single day to be the best for those who need you the most. We'll see you guys next time.